In this video, we'll take a look at domain logins, which is a new feature introduced in Control 5.5. If you're currently running on a domain, then what this feature does is basically allows you to take that Windows domain account that you have for each one of your employees and actually link that to the user account that they already have in Control. It basically just eliminates a lot of the dual logins and passwords and all that kind of thing. Just makes it a lot simpler. Typically, any organization that's running a domain will probably find this to be a very useful feature. For any non in a domain, then the message really never even appears, or the option never appears for you to actually log in. So we'll see on the screen here what the login screen will look like. It will auto-detect, meaning Control will auto-detect whether you're running in the domain. And if it is, it will actually have your domain name and the username there. You can actually have it automatically start that login process using it so that you don't even have to hit OK. It just launches Control and starts to boot up for you. So let's kind of dive into Control and take a look at the setup of that. And I'll first start with launching Control on my screen here. And we'll notice I've got a login prompt, and it's going to ask me, do you want to log in using your domain? In this case, I have to choose no because I haven't set it up. So if I try and log in right now, it doesn't know that my domain user account is actually tied to any particular Control account. So I'm going to choose no, and I'll go ahead and log in with my current credentials that are available. And now that we're in Control, I'll go ahead and click on Setup, and I'll come down to Employee Setup, and then I'll come over to my user account that's here, and I'll just go ahead and hit Edit. And once I'm in here, if I click on Change Username and Password, we'll see that I can associate a domain user with it. In my case, this would be eSerious and B Redlinger. Now I don't have to specify any passwords at all. These are the passwords inside of Control for this user account. Really what I'm trying to do is just associate my domain account with my user account in Control. So I'll go ahead and type this out. It has to be in the domain/username format. And I'll go ahead and hit OK. And we'll see now here down at the bottom it says domain user, and it's tied my user account to it. So from that point, I'll go ahead and close out of here, and I'll close out of Control, and I'll come back and I'll try and log into Control, and we'll see login using your domain user. So in this case, I'll go ahead and hit OK, and we'll see that it actually did log me in using my domain credentials. I never even had to specify anything. It's a very nice, very useful feature. Now, a natural question comes up often when you're talking about domain logins and password resets and things along those lines. Most of y'all that are familiar with the password policies inside of Control requires you to change your password every X many days. And that's really all part of PCI compliance because we store credit card information and things along those lines. Also part of PCI compliance is to make sure that your Windows usernames and passwords are rotated and meet certain levels of complexity. Those requirements are not removed if you begin to use your domain login for Control. You need to make sure that your domain is up to compliance for that so that we can make sure that we're protected and take the reasonable standards and procedures and to ensure that we're at least trying to mitigate any kind of fraud or hacking attempts for credit card information and so forth. That's really it on domain logins. The setup is really the same for every single user you have. Just go in, edit the employee, specify that account, and just tell your users that now they can log in using that. And that concludes this video on domain login.